Hey guys, so I've been working on image wrapping for Humanizer, where you basically put an image onto a mesh for decals and tattoos and procedural damage and things. So you can change the face and the rotation. It's very similar to image projection, except that this actually wraps around the faces instead of just projecting from a flat plane. And you can see, so I'm still working on the UV harmonizing, but so you can see how it will wrap around like the brim of the hat, whereas projection would just be cut off, so it's actually going to the face underneath. So this will be good for like wrapping tattoos around arms, or like putting on a hat band or something that wraps around, where a normal projection would not work. So anyway, this is my progress so far, and I'll go ahead and show you what I did to make it work. So to start, I get a starting position and the rotation, and then rotate the face normal, basically. And then, so initially, I just start with a horizontal line, and basically I wrap this line around the faces like I was saying, and I will demonstrate that to you in just a moment. But you can see that it keeps its perpendicularity and its length. So even though it is distorted, this line is the same distance as this line if you follow the path, not straight to it. So if you imagine two faces intersecting at an edge, and you have a vector going along one plane, then the rotation axis will be this edge, and the amount to rotate is, this is the starting angle, and then you subtract the difference between the two planes to get the remaining angle that it will rotate, and then you can use Godot's rotation based on that. You can use the vector 3 dot rotate around the axis and amount. So that actually doesn't change no matter what your initial vector is. Those two calculations, it's just the vector being rotated. And so I basically rotate, follow the next plane until there's another edge, and then calculate that. So that is the basis of how I'm rotating around the faces. I'm not just projecting a straight line, essentially. So then I get the perpendicular angle on the face to the horizontal line, and I make the vertical wrapping line as well. So it makes a crosshair, and these will be the center points of the external borders. So you can see they both wrap. And then at the ends of the horizontal line, I add the perpendicular vertical lines as well. So you can see they kind of tilt a little bit, like at the corners. around edges and stuff, but they are pretty consistent still. So it depends on how extreme the angle is, essentially, because it's wrapping. And then for the horizontal lines, I had to use A star, and then I just subdivided the faces, or the edges, to give it more paths, which makes it pretty accurate, so you can sort of change the resolution. But just using shortest, there's some other algorithms that I was looking at, like the heat map, or the heat whatever, and like fast march method for getting the shortest distance, like on a 3D mesh. But the A-star solution is pretty good because as you increase the resolution, it becomes more accurate, essentially. So I get the shortest path between each endpoint, so there's 2 lines between those. And now we have our square, and it looks pretty good. So then I get rid of the internal lines and just have the external border. So from there I can build a list of crossed faces and create a boundary here. And then I can identify the internal faces by those that are touching the center face, and then go until it reaches a border face, essentially. So I'll get the internal faces first. So you can see those stay within the border, but it is jagged because, of course, the mesh is made of triangles. So these are parts of triangles that are intersected by this line. So the faces don't go perfectly along the line, which means I have to cut these external faces along that line and create the new mesh with it. So currently this is a separate mesh, but I will be reintegrating it back into the original texture once the whole thing is done. So I haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, this is just to help me visualize while I work through the problem. So you get the internal faces, and then the external faces. So you can see it's doing a pretty good job. There's some issues at the corners. First of all, I haven't done, and then in the middle of the vertical lines, because it's actually 2 lines per side, so it's basically a corner there. And then there's a little bit of like overhang because like this face was cut here, but it didn't know about the other line. So so there's a couple things that I have to fix still with the border, but you can see that it does fill it in really well. So there's the cut mesh progress so far. So then I calculate the UV position based on the distance along this line. So for each segment, you just add the distance to the total and get the percent. And so I assign the UVs and add the texture. So that's how it looks initially without the harmonic map. And then using the harmonic map that I showed y'all last time, because you have to run it multiple times. So this is the result so far. I think I have some of the UVs wrong along the border. So once I get these vertical lines turned into one line, it'll be easier to make sure those UVs are correct. But this is pretty good though. So so here is a graphic of basically what I'm trying to do using the harmonic map. So minimizing the metric distortion. So you have a triangular region in 3D space, and you want to map the internal vertices to a planar triangle. So this is from Princeton, and I was hoping it would give me more information, but unfortunately it's just from a slideshow. So it's actually like a pretty complex calculation. I'm not doing it the way they're doing it because honestly I can't read this. Like, I don't know if anybody wants to shed some light on what these squiggly lines mean, because I have no idea. Basically I'm just getting the like average distance based on the ratios between all of the points. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with this. I will upload this code to the shader folder in the Humanizer source repository. And I will continue working on it, get these gaps filled in, and get that image straightened out. So, but that's where I'm at, and then I have to transfer the UVs back onto the final mesh. So that will be another translation, because of course this is on its own mesh currently. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this update, and I will see you later.